How's it going, everyone? My name is True Wonder Dog, and today we're here to see how amazing is Skarlet in Mortal Kombat 11. This is my girl. Back at the MK11 reveal event, this was the very first character I played, and I was super hyped to see her return. And anyone who's played even a little bit of this game probably has an idea why Skarlet is good. She has fantastic range, decent combos that don't take any meter, her zoning is top notch, and she even has a parry and surprisingly good mobility. So without any further ado, let's have an in-depth look at Skarlet, starting off with some key normal attacks. So first up we have her overhead, Scythe Slam. Very far-reaching overhead, and if you do land it twice in a row, you get a crushing blow. It doesn't do very much damage though, very surprising, only 16%. That's gotta be one of the weakest crushing blows in the entire game. And unfortunately, even though this move does have a knockdown, you're only at +2, which means even if you do a mid attack to try and keep them honest, they can just down one or even standing one you and escape the pressure for free. So you want to land this overhead a bit further away, that way you can maybe back up and do it again, but otherwise if you do it too close and then try to do it again, they're just going to wake up, jab you, or any number of stuff, and it's going to beat it every single time. Because not only is it slow, but it's also only +2 on hit. It's also quite minus on block as well, so while it is nice to have this move, make sure to use it responsibly. And next up we have the low pokes. So first up we have down 3, her spear strike. Pretty darn good range, and surprisingly fast as well, but the main reason you want this move is that range. Look at that range, it's pretty darn good. And it staggers the opponent, so it's pretty good for taking your turn back. Do something barely minus, duck the opponent's high attack, do this. It's got fantastic range, much better than her down 1 though. Down 1 is still surprisingly good, but down 3, just a lot better in terms of range. And then if you really want range, you have her down 4. This thing has such good range, it almost works at the very start of the round. It's that freaking good. There is an ice cream truck outside my house, and it's nearly 6 o'clock. Are you for real? There is an actual ice cream truck outside. I don't know if you can hear it, I hope not, that makes me very salty. Get out of here, I don't want your ice cream and your creepy music, go away. Go away, please. I'm trying to record a video for the people, and you're getting in the way. Get out of here. Oh god, I think it's gone. Fantastic. That was freaky. I hate ice cream trucks. They're so creepy. They're trying to abduct your kids with the promise of ice cream. Don't trust them. Anyway, the point is down 4 is really darn good. It has better range than down 3, and it's almost just as fast. Not to mention it staggers the opponent backwards, and you can even cancel it as well. So if you're not sure it's going to land, you cancel into her blood ball, and now the opponent's forced to block it on hit, or even on block. They're still forced to put up with this if you land it at max distance. So you can special cancel it. It's a really, really good move. And last but not least, we gotta talk about this sweep. Fantastic range on this thing. Definitely started the round, in fact a bit further than that. Definitely one of the furthest reaching sweeps in the game, if not the furthest reaching. So not only does the overhead have crazy range, but the sweep has just as good of range. So now from jumping distance you do have a 50-50, pretty crazy stuff. Now there is one problem. This sweep has crazy long recovery, 37 frames. So when I sweep there, look how long it takes me to block. So if you do misspace this thing, or if the opponent jumps over it, they can now do a full combo on you. So it is quite risky even though it does have fantastic range. It's still a fantastic normal attack, just be careful when using it. And Skarlet does have other normals that are very good as well, but they're just part of her attack string. So next let's go ahead and talk about those. And one of my favorite things about Skarlet is that every single one of these attack strings are actually useful. So let's go ahead and run through every single one. So first up we have Marrow Massacre. This string can be great for ending combos in the corner. Wait for the first 2 hits to hit confirm it. If they do, 3rd hit, special cancel. Really, really good. And in fact, even if you just want to let it rock, you can cancel into that Tentacle anyway. Just make sure it's the close version. That will catch a lot of players trying to press a button and punish this, and it's only -1. So chances are they're not going to punish properly, and that Tentacle will catch them. Now if they are punishing properly, just do your parry instead. Now that only works in some variations, but it's a fantastic tricky setup. And then we have Thicker Than Water. The first hit has deceptively good range, and if both hits land, the opponent's sent very, very far away, which is fantastic for Skarlet's zoning. So this string can be very, very useful for that. And then if this move lands on whiff punish, you actually get a crushing blow that does pretty good damage. And this crushing blow works as a punish as well, however it's pretty slow, 19 frames, and there aren't many attacks that are that unsafe on block, but it's still a fantastic whiff punish and it has that crushing blow to complement it. And next up we have The End Is Nigh. This is your go-to meterless combo starter for Skarlet. Now there are a couple things to take note of and be wary of. The whole thing is actually -11, so it's fully punishable up close. So it's very important you learn to hit confirm it. Do the first 2 moves, and if they land, do that 3rd one. You have a very long time to hit confirm this. So the first 2 buttons, wait, and then do that third hit, because the first two are safe. Just don't do the whole thing. It's very tempting, especially if you're brand new to playing Skarlet. It's very tempting. It's a great combo starter, but you gotta hit confirm it. First two hits, if they land, combo. If they don't, you can stop right there or go for her Tentacle or even her parry and some variations. And next up we have Quick Transfusion. This string is just all around good. That first hit has fantastic range, almost start of the round. Walk forward a tiny bit and then do it. Really good for starting off the round, and that first hit is also a really good anti-air. It'll catch the opponent jumping all the time, and then if the opponent's on the ground, it has that sneaky low mix-up. Now unfortunately, Skarlet does not have any overhead hitting special moves, so it's not that much of a mix-up. They could just crouch block all the time against you, because all you have is this, and it's certainly reactable, but even so, that mix-up is there. It does catch people off guard, and it's also a decent hit confirm. If that first hit lands, the second hit gives you a little bit extra damage. And then we have Simple Slaughter. This attack hits low, and from mid-screen, you don't get very much after it, but in the corner it's a go-to combo starter, which is very nice, because Skarlet not only has an overhead that can crushing blow, but now she has a low meterless combo starter. Pretty darn cool stuff. And next up we have Coagulation. This is sadly one of her more useless strings, but it does still have a purpose. Even though it's a high attack, if the opponent does standing block for whatever reason, you're actually at +6. So it's fantastic for that. And then in the corner, it's one of your most damaging ways to end combos. In fact, it is the most damaging. The only issue is, since they are both high attacks, it's not going to connect for a lot of corner combos, but if you do set it up, it's your most damaging way to end combos. And last but not least, we have Bleeding. A very good mid attack. It's 13 frames, so pretty darn fast. You land this, go right into it, it's quick enough, and it advances too, so it's great for closing that gap on the opponent. And if it lands in the corner, you have some metered options to extend your combo, but even if not, you still cancel into that Tentacle, get some pretty decent damage. Not to mention that second hit is a low attack, so it could be a decent mix-up against someone who does not play Skarlet very often. That mix-up certainly is there to catch certain players. And last but not least, it can also end corner combos. It's actually just as damaging as Coagulation, and the hitbox can be a bit more reliable. And that's about it for her attack strings. As mentioned earlier, they each have their purpose, not a single one is useless. Even Coagulation is good for that damage and ending combos. So every single string does have a purpose, and they're also surprisingly fast. The only downside is pretty much every single one is minus on block, but thankfully you have the Tentacle or the Blood Ball or even the parry, which can all help you in that regard. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and cover her special moves next. And as you can see, Skarlet has quite a few special moves. So first up we have her parry. This move is fantastic for saving your booty whenever you do a minus string by mistake, or even if you just want to bait the opponent into attacking you. And then if you amplify this move during your third parry, you get a crushing blow, which also does damage over time. So it's over 3 times the damage overall, definitely one of her better crushing blows. And honestly, even after the crushing blow, the enhanced version can be a great way to add some extra damage, even though it does cost 1 bar. And next up we have Bloodshot. A pretty darn fast projectile. Now it is a high attack, so the opponent could duck under it. However, if you enhance this move on hit, you get some health back. Now the timing is a bit bizarre, which is why I personally mash, but it's honestly a pretty good amount of health to get back. And that's why you see a lot of top players use it. They go for that hit confirm, if it lands, Bloodshot, amplify it, get some health back. And then we have Blood Ball. This move is a bit slower on startup and also travels a bit slower than Bloodshot. However, the hitbox on this thing is enormous. It hits so much higher than you'd think it would, and if it does hit an airborne opponent, they're actually left standing, so they don't even get their wake up attack. If they get caught by this up close, you can go for pressure. Go for your mids, go for your lows if they're in the corner. It's honestly really good for the hit stun that it causes, and it also puts jumpers right back on the ground and they can't even do a wake up. It's a very useful move, and in some variations you can actually enhance it. And then we have Blood Splatter. I'm gonna be honest, this move is not super useful. The only reason I like it personally is in corner combos, if your Tentacle can't quite connect in time because the startup is quite slow. Instead you do Blood Splatter and the damage is the exact same, only it's a bit faster. Even the amplified version honestly isn't that useful. It does more damage, and in the corner after certain strings it can extend combos, but it's not worth the bar in my opinion. Your follow-ups are very limited. It's also still very minus on block. So in my opinion, just not a very useful move in general, though it does still have that one purpose of ending corner combos. And then we have Blood Trail, a low hitting projectile, so the opponent can't actually duck under this one, like it can with Blood Ball or Bloodshot. They actually do have to block this one, so it's pretty darn good for that. It also could be a mix-up up close. It's not going to work very often, but Maybe they block your string and they're very patient, and then you catch them with a low attack. However, let's be honest, this move is most likely going to be used from full screen just to keep the opponent honest. They can duck this, and they can duck this, but they can't duck this. Now you can enhance this move, but outside of that brutality, I don't recommend doing it. It does a bit more damage and does stagger the opponent for a bit longer, but it's just not worth the bar in my honest opinion. So unless you want that brutality, I don't recommend ever enhancing this move. And then we have Blood Tentacle, easily one of the best attacks in Skarlet's arsenal. This move has 4 different distances. By default, it's around jumping distance. If you're a bit closer, you have the close version. This is great for keeping yourself safe after a minus string. If the opponent's not quite fast enough, does the wrong normal, this will catch them and has that slide knockdown. The close version is also great for ending your corner combos, whereas the default version is great for ending combos from mid-screen. And then if you're a bit further away, you have the far version by holding forward. And then if you're very far away, you hold up, you have the very far version, which hits the opponent even at full screen. This thing has a pretty darn good hitbox. It can even catch opponents who are jumping, so it's very good for that, and it also hits mid, so the opponent can't even duck under it. It's easily one of Skarlet's best moves in her entire arsenal. And then we have Bloodport, a pretty darn fast teleport. Now you don't attack out of it like Scorpion, but you do recover pretty darn quickly. I could block pretty fast after doing that, however the opponent could punish me, but thankfully I have different variations. If I hold forward, I'm now super duper far away. Now it did cost me 1 defensive bar, but it kept me safe in nearly every situation. And then if you hold back, you teleport in front of the opponent. Now I'm not sure why you would want to most of the time. Maybe you have them cornered and you want to close that gap, you can stay in front, go for a throw, but honestly you could just do a regular teleport and then do a back throw. So the front teleport honestly isn't that useful, but it is still an option, so there's that. And last but not least, we have Blood Ritual. I don't like this move. It does have one single purpose. The opponent's very low on health. You knock them away, you cancel into it, and they're forced to take the damage. In that very rare situation, you could use this move, but outside of that, it's basically useless. You may have noticed, I actually take more damage than the opponent while doing it. I take 10, they take 5. So even if I do have the life lead, it's still a bad idea to combo into it. So most of the time, this move is pretty much useless. I kinda wish Skarlet had anything else besides this move. But let's not end things on a sour note. Next up, let's have a look at her second variation. So first up, we have Cell Siphon. Not only is this move very fast and has decent range, but it's also a good way to end combos because not only will it leave the opponent standing and thus rob them of any wake up options, but it also leaves you at +4. So if they're right in your face, you can now go for your mids, and they pretty much have to respect this, with the exception of some characters like Garrus, who are just too darn fast. But for pretty much everybody else on the roster, if you end your combo with this and they're close, you can now reinforce that frame advantage. Go for a mid, go for a throw if you want that mix up. It's honestly pretty darn good for that. And then if you're a bit lower on health, you can actually enhance the move and get some of that health back. It also does a bit more damage as well, however despite the animation it's still only +4 on hit, unfortunately. However, this move does have one weakness, it's very unsafe on block and honestly unsafe on whiff as well. So even though its fantastic range can make it good for whiff punishing, and then if you enhance it, get a little bit of health back, even on whiff, look how long this thing takes to recover. I'm gonna hold block, look how long that took. So if I miss and the opponent dashes in or jumps in, they have a full combo on me. So you don't want to do it raw most of the time. It can be a good whiff punish once again, but it's also very risky. So most of the time, I recommend just comboing into it. It's a good way to end your combos and also get some health back if you want to spend that bar. And last but not least, Skarlet also has the option to enhance her Blood Ball in this variation, though it does cost 1 bar. But if I hold back, it's now a bit slower. So it might catch an opponent trying to jump over it because they think, oh, I know the timing for how to jump over it normally, but then nope, you slowed it down and they fell on it. Or you can actually increase its speed if you hold forward. Now it's going a lot faster. And you can actually have 2 on screen at the same time. And that's honestly it for this variation. Not too much to it, but you do have the option to slow down or speed up one of your best projectiles in the game, and you also have Cell Siphon, which is quite easily one of her better moves, though it's a bit riskier than her Tentacle. But it's still super darn good since once again, no wake up options for your opponent, you're at +4 so you can go for a mix up, go for that throw, go for your mid pressure, all that good stuff, and if you want to enhance it, you get some health back. So So it's a pretty darn good useful move, and I think why a lot of top players may prefer this variation sometimes is because they have this special move alone. It's just that darn useful. But please let me know your thoughts on Skarlet in the comments down below. Do you think she's godlike? Should she be nerfed? Please let me know down below. For me personally, I think she's really darn good, though I do think some of her crushing blows are a bit too weak. And then while you're down there, please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It really does help my channel out a ton. And finally, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.